Hello and welcome to Drawing Machines and Notes from Art Studio Robots, newsletter number 42, Type Shifting and How to Sell Pen Plots. This is the audio version that you're listening to, and for the people who are watching on YouTube, I'm in the kitchen of the old studio for the moment because there's loads of building work outside my new studio making it too noisy to video. So I can apologise for the lighting and the audio in this one. We'll see how we do. And I'm also going to be reading off the newsletter more than usual because I've had a bit of a week. We'll get into that in this and in the week notes videos. I wrote this newsletter one way, which was introducing a theme and then adding supporting material and then building up to what I thought was an interesting nugget of information. But then I realised it would be better for everyone if I just went straight for the interesting nugget of information and then got rid of all of the other stuff. And then I also ran out of time. So this is going to be a little bit of a bumpy ride. First, sell the solution to the problem. It's that simple. Or to expand on that a little bit, work out what the buyer's problem is and then offer them a solution to that problem. So this sounds simple, but it took me quite a while working with somebody a couple of years ago called Ali, and she helped me with a lot of copywriting on my website at the time and kind of pinning down exactly what I did. So for me, the problem is roughly this. Someone wants to buy a unique gift or piece of artwork for themselves, or more often, more likely, a friend, but wants to avoid paying the price of an original painting. The solution is a pen plot or a print where the design is created with code from an algorithm, and each time the code runs, the design is different. They'll be from the same series, but each one is unique, and that's the important part. Pricing art very broadly and badly goes something like this. At the cheapest, at the top, we have open edition print of a painting or an artwork. And then we have a limited edition print of a painting or an artwork. Then we have a limited edition screen print or lino print or some other non-print but reproduction technology thing. And then 4, this is where our pen plots are going to go in between here. And then at the bottom is the actual original painting or artwork or illustration. So buying an open edition print for somebody is cheap and easy, relatively, whereas a limited edition print is more expensive. But of course, in both cases, they're not actually unique. If you want to get or give something that no one else has, then you're in the realm of unique artwork of the original painting or illustration, which is often big bucks. So in my mind, pen plots are something created with code, with a drawing machine, fits snugly in between the limited edition screen print, and I think all screen prints are kind of limited edition by nature, and then the original painting. It's created with print reproduction technology, a drawing machine, but one that can take a lot longer to create a single output. But it's also unique, like an original painting and artwork. So it kind of fits that nice little niche just there. So the solution is a pen plot is often a unique artwork for less than the price of an original painting or illustration or artwork. And there's very little else that kind of offers that. So it's solving the problem of how can I buy / gift a one-of-a-kind artwork without breaking the bank. I mean, it's that or a glazed mug from a pottery, I guess. Which brings us to how to sell stuff part 2, settling worries. The trick to explaining to people on your website, hey, here's a problem, you're looking for something one-off and unique that you can hang on the wall, but original paintings are too much. So here's something you probably haven't heard of before, and here's how it works. I mean, that is an exercise left to the reader. Personally, I think lots of photos and videos help with that, but it's definitely something you do need to do on a website is go, you need a pen plot, and this is what it is. But another thing that keeps cropping up is removing worries and obstacles for people. So for me, that's writing things like, the plot is sent unframed. If you want to frame it, this is how big it is, and then giving the people the width and the heights. They know what they're dealing with. They know it's not framed. And the reason why I don't frame things is because I think it's up to the buyer to work out the best frame that suits the decor in their house, rather than me dictating what the frame looks like. It's also a lot cheaper and easier to ship. Stating that it uses archival ink and paper, so it won't fade over time. Or if you're not using archival ink and paper, particularly the ink, saying that the ink may change when exposed to sunlight for extended periods. So this is a natural process of the ink, and you should try and keep it out of direct sunlight as much as possible. So letting the buyer know how to look after their plot, whether to put it in direct sunlight or not, if it's going to fade or not, reassuring them that it's not going to fade is always really good. Your plots will be shipped in a rigid, secure flat pack or tube with a tracking number so you can follow every step of the way. That's always great to say. And should it get lost, eaten or destroyed by the postal service, which is very rare, but it can happen, you can say that you offer a full refund or replacement with a similar but not identical design, obviously. So please send evidence of the damage destroying us if that's what's happened. So you're letting people know your refund policy and things like that. Basically, any question or worry that the buyer has, that you want to be able to answer it so they don't have any more obstacles in the way on that front. Even better, go look at lots of other professional print sites and see what they say about shipping, about returns, and find all the good bits you like and then take those and stick them onto your site. So now, time for part 3. How to sell stuff. Part 3, poor impulse control from both sides. I'll get to that. So this is from personal experience rather than research. So my first observation is this. People really like to impulse buy things, and if they can't, you quite possibly have lost that sale. My impulse, though, is still that when my drawing machine is doing what I feel like is a particularly tasty plot, I'll take lots of photos and videos and then immediately post them to Instagram so that I get that validation and that dopamine hit that I'm trying to avoid like so much. And then perhaps over the next few days, I'll post a couple more showing progress. And during that time, inevitably somebody will go, hey, this is great. Can I buy it? And my response is, of course you can, sure you can, but it's not in the shop yet. Or when I put it up there in a couple of days, then you can go and buy it. But of course, the moment of impulse purchase has gone at that point, and then when it is in the shop, posting more photos of it, you've missed that first initial impact of then posting them. So again, you might miss the sale. So unless you're particularly good at building up hype towards a drop, and spoiler, I'm not, the more correct thing to do is this. 1. Write the code for the pen plot. 2. Record any sketches or work in progress. 3. Take photos and videos of the process. 4. Edit those photos and videos. Very tedious. 5. Write the description, the title, and put all of that in the shop. 6. Make it go live in the actual shop. 7. Finally, then you can post about it, and then people can actually buy it. And in the past, when I've done it the proper way, it can easily take 5 to 8 weeks from the time that I've plotted it, from when it's actually finished to when it goes into the shop. That seems like an eternity in this social media world that we live in. There was actually a time back in the past when everything I was posting was time shifted by about 2 months, and that was intentional. And it did feel a little bit weird that when I was posting something, it's something that I was kind of over from 2 months ago. It sort of felt a bit like I was living a lie on social media in a way. Sales-wise, however, it was so much better. It worked really well doing it that way. The dopamine hit and the instant validation wasn't quite as good though, so it depends what you're going for. But if I thought that was bad, it's not as bad as some of my writer friends who can finish a book and then the book isn't actually published until 18 months later and they have lots of milestones to hit before they get to there. But that seems crazy to me that you finish something and then a year and a half is when it's actually released. So although I feel bad about the 8 weeks, it's nothing compared to a lot of industries where that can really drag on. Anyway, the short story is that the better I planned and the more patient and intentional I was with things, the better I was at selling things. But I had to be way more organized than my natural state, and I consider myself to be a fairly organized person. On the flip side, just YOLOing it and going with the flow worked shockingly badly for selling things. My second observation, and this is backed by some metrics, is that each extra step in the buying and the checkout process gives the buyer a chance to overcome their buying impulse. The place where this dropout happens the most is when shipping is added to the price. They'll see a plot on sale for $80 and be like, sweet, I'll grab that. Then they'll plug in their address and suddenly it's like, oh yeah, it's $110 with added shipping. And according to my old Shopify analytics, this is the perfect place for people to decide or second guess whether they want to buy it or not and drop out there. So in the end, I rolled the shipping cost into the actual price. I ship with DHL with full tracking, and so far they've been really good. UPS, FedEx, Parcel Force can all go do one. They've all let me down. Inside the UK, shipping is around $15. To the EU, it's around $35. And to the US, it's $45. And over the course of the year, when I was monitoring it all, my average shipping cost was $30. So that's what I've added to the price of everything. And that is unless they're A5 or A4 plots. And I generally don't sell those because often the shipping is more than the price of the plot. So my A5 plots would seem to be overly expensive. Anyway, basically, it means a plot that I'd originally sell for $120 was now $150. And if somebody from the US bought it, it would eat into my plot price a bit. I'd only make $105 on the print. However, if I was shipping to the UK, it would make $135. And I'll be like, yay, UK buyer, thank you very much. But ultimately, it all averaged out. And the one price anywhere in the world and the free shipping, and to remove that calculating shipping step, was definitely worth it to me. So I would consider that. Again, this kind of falls apart with A4 smaller plots down to postcards, which is generally why I don't sell those, although I would love to sell smaller plots and more of them. And now you have all my knowledge about selling pen plots online. That's it. You have everything. All right, time shifting. The reason I started writing all of this is because I felt some guilt about the fact that I write the first draft of this newsletter the week before it comes out. And I do this so that I can finish it on the Tuesday before I publish it, record the video and audio version on Wednesday, and then edit it on Thursday and have everything to go on Thursday with a little bit of buffer room built in case anything goes wrong. And see you later for that, because it did this week. This means it's often the case that some pen plots that I do on the Monday of the newsletter week, 4 days before it comes out, only make it into the very following newsletter and therefore can be about 3 weeks old, which again seems odd to me. And I feel like the newsletter should be, hey, here's all the stuff that's happened in the last 2 weeks since the last newsletter that you got. So while I was going to write about all that and how it fits in with everything, it reminded me of the time-shifting structure I had in place when I was posting new work, which was actually 2-month-old work, which I'd kind of kept hidden until everything was in the shop. And this is also why this edition of the newsletter expanded into how to sell stuff, and I filed my guilt about the time-shifting stuff in the newsletter away for another day, I think. Finally, the end, as always. It'll come as no surprise that the old studio sale still hasn't happened, because I'm sitting in it, for reasons I can only attribute to the mass incompetence of the solicitor at the bottom of the chain. But sunk cost fallacy has the whole thing still ongoing, which caused my stress to spike at the end of last week. You can see last week's week notes for that, and the onset of the symptoms of cluster headache, and that was starting to hover around on Monday, which causes me anxiety and panic, was all a bit much, meaning I didn't get a chance to revisit the first draft of this newsletter that I wrote last week. So again, this is all a bit of a rough cut. I'm going to talk more about managing stress, burnout and cluster headaches, and how I generally avoid all three in my slightly different to regular week notes video this week, which should be out tomorrow. So if you keep an eye on my YouTube channel, you will see that. You'll probably see it anyway. Meanwhile, you'll get a hopefully better written newsletter on September the 5th, which I swear will have more actual pen plotting stuff in it. I love you all. See you next time.